Hi everyone, my name is Karen, this is my channel RatherBeReading, and today I'm bringing to you my February book haul. So in some ways February was a much more restrained purchasing month for books than January was, but in other ways it really wasn't, but we'll get into that as we go through this. So as always, we'll start off with the library books that I picked up in the month of February. So I think I have 7 things, which is probably a few too many, but what are you going to do? First off, we have Giant Days Volume 5. I've really been enjoying this. If you recall, I really loved the first 2 volumes, and then Volume 3 wasn't as strong, but then I really enjoyed Volume 4 again, so I'm really excited to read this one and see how I enjoy Volume 5. And then when I went to the library to pick that up, I spotted this in the graphic novel section, and that is The Complete Mouse by Art Spiegelman. So from what I understand, this is about World War II, where the Nazis are depicted as cats and the Jewish people are depicted as rats. And so I just have heard amazing things about this, and I quite enjoy World War II fiction generally, so hopefully I'm really going to love this. Next, I have The Girl Who Chased the Moon by Sarah Addison Allen. So this is one of the books that I need to read to complete my goal of reading my physical to-read list. This is an adult literary fiction with magical realism, or like contemporary. I'm not really sure. I believe it's about a girl whose mother passes away, I think, and then she goes to the small town where her mother grew up, and she meets the grandfather that she's never known. But then there's like some like magical realism aspect type things happening within the town, but I don't really know too much about it apart from that. But the cover's really pretty, so hopefully it's enjoyable. I then have Sleep Like a Baby by Charlene Harris. This is the 10th book in the Aurora Teagarden series, which is a cozy mystery series. I really enjoyed the 9th book, so I'm hoping that this one lives up to the 9th book. I'm not sure if this is the final book in the series or if there are still more being published, because this is quite a recent release. I think this came out in late 2017, but hopefully it's enjoyable. I also picked up Refuge for Masterminds by Kathleen Baldwin. This is the 3rd book in the Strange House series. It's the last one that's been published, but I'm not sure if it finishes the books or whether there are going to be more published or whether the rest of the books didn't get picked up. I'm not sure. So once I finish this and I see kind of how it ends, I may have to look into what happened, like what's going on with this series. I then also picked up Still Me by Jojo Moyes. This is the 3rd book in the like Me Before You series, and I had no idea until I saw Aoife from Fred Weasley Died Laughing talking about this, that this book even existed. And then I immediately had to get it because I want to know what happens next. And this is really, really big, although I think this is a large print edition, but still this is like almost 500 pages, so I've got that. And the final book that I picked up from the library in the month of February is The Edge of Normal by Carla Norton. This is also to complete one of my Goodreads goals. This is to read 10 of the first 20 books that I marked as to read on Goodreads. This is I'm not sure, I think it might be like a thriller type novel. It seems to be about a girl who was kidnapped and was held in captivity for like 4 years. And it's several years later and she's trying to deal with that event. And there's another girl that has recently been like released from captivity, and the girl's parents ask the main character to, you know, speak to her to try help her with this situation, but then some other girls start to go missing as well. So I think it's all got to do with like a serial kidnapper or something. I don't know. I love thrillers and it sounds like it could be really enjoyable, so hopefully this is a good time. So now onto the physical books that I purchased with my own money in the month of February. I only have 4 things here, which I'm really pleased with. If you saw my January book haul, you know that I purchased so many books and I am literally running out of space to put my TBR books. I'm actually going to insert a picture here that I sent to, I think it was to my friend Emma, showing her how little space I have. So in this picture you can see just a portion of the area where I've been putting my TBR books. This is directly next to my bed and it's literally blocking like one of my bedside tables that I can't get into the drawers because there's just so many books in front of it. So I literally don't have space to be buying too many books. So I really want to be as restrained as possible with my book buying until at least June. My birthday's in June, so I know that things are probably going to go a little bit crazier in June, but I really want to stick to just my one monthly book depository order, and that's it. I'm hoping I can stick to that until June, so keep your fingers crossed for me. But I was really good in February. So first off, we have the book that was part of the order that most of it arrived in January, but this one was just a little late in shipping, and that is They Both Die at the End by Adam Silvera. I'm really excited that I managed to get this cover. So the Australian and UK edition of this, I'll put a picture of that cover here. I don't like it. And I really didn't want that cover, but I wanted to own this book because I've already read this and I really enjoyed it. And so I had to take a leap of faith and purchase one of the books that doesn't have a picture, just has that, like, you know, grayed out square, and hope that it was the cover that I wanted. And I got lucky and I'm really pleased with it. So this is a YA contemporary about two boys who both receive a call to tell them they're going to die that day, because that's something that happens in this world, and they basically connect on their last days of life, and it just follows that day, and it's really, really nice and sad and all of the feelings. But I really enjoyed this. I'm really happy to own a copy. And then next we just have my monthly order from February. So the first of those was Ashes to Ashes by Jenny Han and Siobhan Vivian. I picked this up because I plan to read the Burn for Burn trilogy in like March, April, and I didn't own the third book yet, so I've picked this up. This is the third and final book in the trilogy, and so I just basically needed to grab this so that I could finish that trilogy. I then also picked up Etched in Bone by Anne Bishop. This is, I think this is the fifth. I think it's the fifth book in the Others series, and I know that this isn't the last book. I believe there's at least one more and maybe more still to come after that, but I do own all of the books that, like, from this one and earlier. So this is a urban fantasy series about a girl who, I think when she gets cut, she can see the future. I don't know. I just really, it's one of those series that I always think about that I need to read because I just think I'm really, really going to enjoy it. And then the last thing that I purchased in the month of February is Saga Volume 5 by Brian K. Vaughan and Fiona Staples. So now I own the first 5 volumes. This is one of my favorite graphic novel series, so I've just been slowly collecting these because graphic novels are expensive. So those are the library books and the physical books, but no, this haul isn't over. I have the ebooks that we need to talk about. Now, I purchased 4 ebooks, which isn't too bad. I think they were all for free. I don't think I paid for any of them. But I also have, how many do I have? I have 13 books that I received on Netgalley in the month of February. So in February, I finally hit an 80% feedback ratio on Netgalley, which I was really excited about, and I proceeded to celebrate that by requesting even more books so that, and I still had more books. Like, I was only at 80%. There were still more books that I needed to read that I hadn't read yet, and now I have another 13 added to that list. So we're just going to go over all of those books. So we'll start off with the 4 books that I purchased. Oh, and just a heads up, basically all of these are adult thrillers. Like, literally, I think there's like 1, maybe 2 of this entire books that I purchased and Netgalley books that aren't thrillers, because I just love me a good thriller. So just letting you know right now that these are basically all thrillers. So the first one that I purchased is The Secret Mother by SHALINI BOLAND. And this one is a thriller about a woman who returns home one day and there's this little boy in her house, and he thinks that she's his mother, but she's not. And that's all I know about it, but that sounds like fun. I also managed to get a copy of The Woman in the Window by A.J. Finn, which was exciting because I recently marked that book as to read. This is an adult thriller, obviously. And I believe this one is about a woman who's an agoraphobic, and she's always watching out the window, you know, watching other people out the window. And there's this one family that she usually watches, and then she sees something sinister happen. So it's kind of got some, like, Girl on the Train vibes. It's also got some, like, Rear Window, like, Hitchcock vibes. I'm into basically all of those things. That sounds like fun. I also managed to get a copy of Memory Box by Eva Lesko Natiello. Now, this one I was excited to get a copy of because I have had this book as marked as to read on Goodreads for so long, and I've entered about 10 million. This one always has giveaways going on Goodreads, and I've entered like every one that's ever come up, and I never win it, but I did manage to get a copy of it on ebook this month, which was exciting. So this is a thriller, obviously, and it's about a woman who, I think she's in a group of women who like to Google each other and like find gossip on each other because they're like, you know, vindictive, mean women. And then when they Google her, nothing really comes up except a few things about her like charity work, which she's fine with. And then she proceeds to Google her maiden name, which nobody knows. And all of this stuff comes up that's like not true about her. And it's about her trying to unravel kind of what's going on. It sounds very interesting. Like I said, I've been interested in that book for a really long time. And the last one that I purchased is Baby Dear by Linda Huber. Again, a thriller. And this one is about a woman who really wants to have a baby. And I think the main reason that she married her husband is so that she can have a family. And then she discovers that her husband is infertile. And her husband is worried that she's going to leave him. And then I think there's also this other woman who's like 8 months pregnant but doesn't want the baby. And I presume that their lives are going to like interlink and like some weird stuff's going to go down. But that just sounds very interesting. So now onto the 13 books that I received for review on Netgalley. First off, we have School for Psychics by Casey Archer. This is about a 20-something woman. So this is flagged on Goodreads as YA, but then in the synopsis it says she's 20-something. And I was like, well, that ain't YA then. So I'm not sure if this is new adult or I don't know. Anyway, this is about a woman who's in her 20s who goes to a school for psychics. That's all I really know about it. I love psychics and clairvoyance and witches and any of that type of thing, and she goes to a school for it. I love school settings in books, so basically this was just right up my alley and I requested that thing so fast. Next we have Forget Her Name by Jane Holland. This one's actually on my TBR in the month of March and is a adult mystery thriller about a woman who receives a snow globe in the mail, and it's a snow globe she recognizes from her childhood that belonged to her sister, except her sister died when they were children, and her sister was like an evil child, I think, and then there's been like something sinister added to the snow globe, and it's just kind of about what follows from that. Sounds like a lot of fun. We then have The Camera Lies by A.B. Morgan. This is another adult thriller, and this one is about a man who is, I think, like the host of a like true crime documentary series, and it's about him trying to find out whether this man who was convicted of murdering his wife really did murder his wife. I love TV shows set around that, so I'm pretty sure I'm gonna like a book set around that. Next one is The Lucky Ones by Tiffany Rees. This one is an adult romantic thriller, and it's about a group of kids who I think they're called The Lucky Ones, and they're like, I think there's 6 or 7 of them who were adopted as kids by this like rich man. And then there was this event that happened and the girl had to leave the home. I think she was hurt, and then it's years and years later, and I think it's about her reuniting with the group of kids, and it's about her trying to determine whether what happened to her was an accident or whether she was attacked. I don't really know too much about it apart from that, but it sounds like a lot of fun. Next we have The Dead Ex by Jane Corrie. This is a thriller about a woman whose husband leaves her when she's diagnosed with epilepsy, so you know, he sounds like a real gem. And then he goes missing and she's suspected of having something to do with that. Up my alley. I then have Now You See Her by Heidi Perks. This is another thriller about a woman who is looking after her friend's daughter when her friend's daughter goes missing. And then I think like the daughter has been missing for like a couple of weeks, and it's about both her and her friend being questioned by the police, and then all of these like secrets and stuff start coming out. Again, sounds right up my alley. We then have The Babysitter by Cheryl Brown. This is another thriller. This one gives me like The Hand That Rocked the Cradle type of vibes. So it's about a like babysitter slash nanny who isn't necessarily all that she seems to be. Next we have The Reunion by Samantha Hayes. Again, this is another one that I recently marked as to read, so I was really excited to see this one and get approved for it. This is a thriller about a woman whose little sister went missing when they were kids, and then it's years and years later, and there's like a reunion, I think, between all of the people who, like her and all of the friends who were there the day that her sister went missing, and I think it's about her trying to figure out what happened to her sister. We then have The Wrong Sister by T.E. Woods. This is an adult suspense about a woman who meets her like doppelganger in the street. So she meets this woman who looks exactly like her, and then I think they're like forming a friendship or something, and then a dead body turns up. I don't really know anything about it apart from that, but it sounds like fun. Next we have After Nightfall by A.J. Banner. This is another adult mystery thriller about a woman who, I think her and her friend, she had this really close friendship with this woman, like a girl as a teenager, and then the friend betrays her. And then it's years and years later, and her friend seeks forgiveness of her, and so she ends up inviting this friend to her engagement party, and her friend comes, but then it all kind of blows up at the engagement party, and like shit goes down. But then I think the next morning her friend turns up dead. And it's basically about, I think, her trying to figure out what's happened. I think maybe she's a suspect as well. So again, I just love books like that. We have Twist of Faith by Ellen J. Green, another adult thriller about a woman who, I believe she was adopted as a child, and then her adoptive mother dies, and she finds this photo of a house, and on the back of the photo is something written, something to do with it being her destiny or something. And she thinks that this house holds the secrets to her past because she was like abandoned as a baby, and she doesn't know anything about like her biological parents or anything like that. And I think it's about her going to this house to try figure out like about her past. And then I think this house might have been the site of like some brutal murders as well. So again, just sounds like fun. We have What Happened That Night by Sandra Block. This is about so it's another adult thriller, and this one's about a woman who was assaulted at a party, but she doesn't remember any of the details or anything about the assault. And then I think it's a few years later when a video is uploaded online of her attack, and she, for the first time, sees her attack and now knows who the assailant of her attack was. And I don't know if it's going to have like a revenge aspect, but I don't know, it sounds really interesting. And the final book that I have is The Lost Girls of Camp Forevermore by Kim Fu. This one's also on my TBR for the month of March. And this one is about a group of girls who get lost in the wilderness where they're on summer camp. And then I believe it's about them. This is like basically the only one that's not a thriller. And it's about them and their lives as I think they're growing up and how this event shaped their lives, I think. That's all I really know about it. So those are all of the books that I acquired in the month of February. Like I said, in terms of library and like books that I purchased, I didn't do too badly, but I had a whole crap ton of ebooks that I needed to talk about. I would love to chat with you guys in the comments down below. If you read any of these books, how are you guys going with your purchasing of books in 2018? Like I said, I just really need to keep myself under control till at least June, so hopefully I can do it. Please like this video if you liked it. Please subscribe if you want to see more from my channel. But that's all I've got for this video today. Bye guys.